Hey guys, time for another play along with Mrs. Steck. I have my trumpet here and we're going to be going through page 11 in your Tradition of Excellence technique book. We're going to be going through lines 36, 37, and 38. We've got a new rhythm that we're going to go through and a new concept and kind of a different form of counting. So in number 36, rhythm time, we now have a 2 on the top of our time signature or our meter. Okay, what that means is we can only count to 2 now. Okay, so up until now it's always been a 4 on the top. We always count 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, no matter what. We always make sure we have beats 1 2 3 and 4 all in the measure. Now we can only say 1 and 2, so we're restricted that way. A quarter note, since the 4 is on the bottom, quarter note still gets a beat, so we don't have to worry about a change there. Quarter notes and half notes are still counted the same way. We just can't fit as much in each measure now. So if I go through 1, 2, quarter note, each one gets a beat. Half note gets 2 beats. We connect them 1 dash 2, 1, 2, 1. Here's a quarter rest. Still 2 gets a parentheses to show that it's silent. 1, 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to ignore this for just a second. So 1, 2, there's more quarter notes. 1, 2, and then half note to finish off 1 dash 2. Okay, so we just came off of learning about this thing called a slur. Slur on the wind instruments means that we just don't use our tongue to separate the notes. All right. Up until this point, we've always seen this mark, this little arc beam. We've always seen it across 2 different notes or 2 different pitches. So maybe we go from C to D or we go from E to A. So we've always seen it on 2 different pitches. Now we're going to start to see it across 2 notes that are the same pitch. And when that happens, we don't call it a slur anymore. We call it a tie. It means the same thing. Don't separate the notes with the tongue, but it has a different effect because when you're going from note to note or different pitches and you don't use the tongue, you still hear 2 different notes or 3 different notes, however many there are. Now you're not going to hear 2 different notes because the pitch doesn't change and we don't separate anything with the air. So these are going to basically be 2 notes that are tied together, just like these half notes. This is just basically a half note that goes across this bar line. And since we can't say 3, we can't fit it in the measure and it kind of spills into the next. Okay, so this is going to be 2 dash 1 ties across. All right, let's clap and count this. Here we go. Ready? And 1, 2, line 36. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, repeat. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, off. Okay. There's no pitches to go over except just to tell you that in the instructions it says for us to play the whole thing on the note D. So we've got 1 and 3. The note D, we'll go ahead and minimize this. And we're not going to go through the different pitches because it's only just the one the whole time. So we're going to play through this once with the accompaniment off and then once with it back on so we can hear what that sounds like. Here we go. 2, ready. Okay, turn the accompaniment back on. I don't know why I set that down. This has mostly just percussion. It doesn't have a lot of instruments in the background because we don't change pitch, so it's hard to build a background around that. So we're going to have some rhythm that plays with us. Here we go. And it's weird. It does this on every single one, but it takes that first quarter note off, and I don't know why. But there's another quarter note that's hiding right there. You'll see it in your book. 2, ready. All right, so that's number 36. Number 37, two-step, is exactly the same rhythm. Now we're just going to be using some different notes, okay? So as soon as that loads, all right, I'm going to go ahead and put the rhythm in. We've got 1, 2, 1-2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to go back for just a second. Because we have a slur here, I know that it's a slur, not a tie, because I go from C to D. These have two different note names, therefore they're two different pitches. That means it's not a tie, it's a slur. So we do not use a tie symbol or a dash to tie these two beats together because they're still separate beats, because they're still separate notes, okay? 1, 2, same thing here, got a slur. Goes from F to E, two different names, two different beats. Oops, I started to write, boop, there we go. Started to write the note name there, which I will do in a minute. 2, now this, we've got C, stays on C, so I will go ahead and put a tie between those two pitches. 2, 1-2. Okay, with our metronome, let's clap and count. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, repeat. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, off. Okay. Let's go back and put in the note names. C, C, our new note B, which I'll go over here in just a second. C, D, E, then a rest. F, E, D, C, tied across to C, B, and C. All right, so we have new note B. Nice that this one goes down lower. So we can actually be a little bit more relaxed with our embouchure. And we're going to think slightly slower air, foggier air. You can think dropping the chin just a little bit. There's lots of ways you can think about this. But it's the note is played second valve. Okay, so this is our B natural, second valve. So C, all open, goes down to B. So if I play B, from C to B. Okay, so we should be going lower on the instrument. Let's go through the fingerings as we listen to this. And again, on YouTube, you can change the tempo of these to anything you want, either faster or slower, whatever you need. Okay, just go into the cog wheel. That's the settings icon. Go to custom or go to playback, and then you can customize it from there. Okay, here we go. Naming the notes and doing the fingers. 2, ready, go. C, C, B, C, D, E, F, E, D, C, B, C, 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 B, C, D, E, F, E, D, C, B, C. All right, let's play. No accompaniment to start. Here we go. 2, ready. let's go ahead and turn the accompaniment on. 2, ready. Boom. All right. Let's go through the next line. This is the last one for this video. We've got sight reading challenge, shoe fly pie. And I'm going to erase what I have so far. So if you need to pause and write that in, feel free. I'm going to move it up just a little bit so we can see shoe fly pie a little bit better. There we go. All right, counting first. So again, we've got some ties throughout. No slurs in this one at all, just ties. So we've got 1, 2, and if this confuses me, I can always go back and do the counting before I go back to put the tie in. It's like, okay, so that was 2 to 1, and then we just connect them through that tie. 1, 2, 1 through 2, or 1-2, 1, 2. And to say 2 through 1 is weird because we don't usually think of our counting that way. It's because it wraps around. And so that's why I would think of it that way. So 1, 2, 1-2, 1, 2, tied to beat 1 of the next measure, 2, 1, 2, 1-2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and then 2 is here, but it's a rest, so we put parentheses to show that it's silent. Okay, let's go ahead and clap and count that. Ready? And 1, 2, here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. Let's go through the notes. We've got E, C, tied across to C, D, E, F, D, then we've got D, our new note B, tied across to another of the same, C, D, E, C, down a line, and hopefully this doesn't start to blend together with the counting. We've got E, C, tied across to C, D, E, F, D, then G, 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 F, E, D, C. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to say the note names as I do the fingerings for this first one. You can pause and write those note names in. Hopefully you can still read my handwriting. Tempo down a bit, and again, you can always change this through YouTube. Saying the notes and doing the fingers. 2, ready, go. E, C, D, E, F, D, D, B, C, D, E, C, E, C, D, E, F, D, G, 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 F, E, D, C. All right. Hopefully my valves don't stick. We're going to go through one time with no accompaniment, then we'll go through one more time with the accompaniment on. Here we go. 2, ready. Here we go with the accompaniment. You're welcome to do this as many times as you want. Just pause and rewind. And again, you can change the tempo if this is too fast. Here we go. 2, ready. And that's all we have for number 38, Shoe Fly Pie. That is also all we have for this video for today. So I will be checking back in with more from page 11 another time, probably in a couple of weeks. All right. Have a great day, you guys. Good job.